All right, we're reading Nectar Devotion. The fourth canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, 29th chapter, verses 39 and 40. The importance of hearing the pastimes of the Lord stated by Shukadev Goswami to Maharaj Parikshit. My dear king, one should stay at a place where the great acharyas, holy teachers, speak about the transcendental activities of the Lord, and one should give oral reception to the nectarian river flowing from the moonlight faces of such great personalities. If someone eagerly continues to hear such transcendental sounds, then certainly he will become freed from all material hunger, thirst, fear, and lamentation, as well as all illusions of material existence. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also recommended this process of hearing as a means of self-realization in the present age of Kali. In this age, it is very difficult to follow thoroughly the regulative principles and studies of the Vedas, which were formerly recommended. However, if one gives oral reception to the sound vibrated by great devotees and acharyas, that alone will give him relief from all material contamination. Therefore, it is the recommendation of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu that one should simply hear from authorities who are actually devotees of the Lord. Hearing from professional men will not help. If we hear from those who are actually self-realized, then the nectarian rivers, like those which are flowing on the moon planet, will flow into our ears. This is the metaphor used in the above verse. As stated in Bhagavad Gita, a materialistic person can give up his materialistic hankerings only by becoming situated in Krishna consciousness. Unless one finds a superior engagement, he will not be able to give up his inferior engagement. In the material world, everyone is engaged in the illusory activities of the inferior energy. But when one is given the opportunity to relish the activities of the superior energy performed by Krishna, then he forgets all his lesser pleasures. When Krishna speaks on the battlefield of Kurukshetra, to the materialistic person, it appears that this is simply talk between two friends, but actually it is a river of nectar flowing down from the mouth of Sri Krishna. Arjuna gave oral reception to such vibrations, and thus he became freed from all the illusions of material problems. In the 12th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, 3rd chapter, verse 15, it is stated, a person who desires unalloyed devotional service to Lord Krishna, who is praised by transcendental sound and vibrations, should always hear about his glorification and transcendental qualities. This will surely kill all kinds of inauspiciousness in the heart, expecting the Lord's mercy. In the 10th canto, 14th chapter, verse 8, it is stated, my dear Lord, any person who is constantly awaiting your causeless mercy to be bestowed upon him, and who goes on suffering the resultant actions of his past misdeeds, offering you respectful obeisances from the core of his heart, is surely eligible to become liberated, for it has become his rightful claim. This statement of Srimad Bhagavatam should be the guide of all devotees. A devotee should not expect immediate relief from the reactions of his past misdeeds. No conditioned soul is free from such reactionary experiences, because material existence means continued suffering or enjoying of past activities. If one has finished his material activities, then there is no more birth. This is possible only when one begins Krishna conscious activities, because such activities do not produce reaction. Therefore, as soon as one becomes perfect in Krishna conscious activities, he is not going to take birth again in this material world. A devotee who is not perfectly freed from the results of actions should therefore continue to act in Krishna consciousness seriously, even though there may be so many impediments. When such impediments arise, he should simply think of Krishna and expect his mercy. That is the only solace. If the devotee passes his days in that spirit, it is certain that he is going to be promoted to the abode of the Lord. By such activities, he earns his claim to enter into the kingdom of God. The exact word used in this verse is Dayabhak. Dayabhak refers to a son's becoming the lawful inheritor of the property of the father. In a similar way, a pure devotee who is prepared to undergo all kinds of tribulations in executing Krishna conscious duties becomes lawfully qualified to enter into the transcendental abode. Remembrance. Some way or other, if someone establishes in his mind his continuous relationship with Krishna, this relationship is called remembrance. About this remembrance, there is a nice statement in the Vishnu Purana, where it is said, simply by remembering the Supreme Personality of Godhead, all living entities become eligible for all kinds of auspiciousness. Therefore, let me always remember the Lord, who is unborn and eternal. In the Padma Purana, the same remembrance is explained as follows. Let me offer my respectful obeisances unto the Supreme Lord Krishna, because if someone remembers him, either at the time of death or during his span of life, he becomes freed from all sinful reactions. Meditation. To meditate means to engage the mind in thinking of the form of the Lord, the qualities of the Lord, the activities of the Lord, and the service of the Lord. Meditation does not mean anything impersonal or void. According to Vedic literature, meditation is always on the form of Vishnu. In the Nrsimha Purana, there is a statement about meditation on the form of the Lord. It is said there, meditation focusing on the lotus feet of the Supreme Personality of Godhead has been accepted as transcendental and beyond the experience of material pain and pleasure. By such meditation, even one who is grossly miscreant can be delivered from the sinful reactions of his life. In the Vishnu Dharma, there is a statement about meditation on the transcendental qualities of the Lord. It is said, persons who are constantly engaged in Krishna consciousness and who remember the transcendental qualities of the Lord become free from all reactions to sinful activities, and after being so cleansed, they become fit to enter into the kingdom of God. In other words, no one can enter into the kingdom of God without being freed from all sinful reactions. One can avoid sinful reactions simply by remembering the Lord's form, qualities, pastime, etc. In the Padma Purana, there is a statement about remembering the activities of the Lord. A person who is always engaged in meditation on the sweet pastimes and wonderful activities of the Lord surely becomes freed from all material contamination. In some of the Puranas, the evidence is given that if someone is simply meditating on devotional activities, he has achieved the desired result and has seen face to face the Supreme Personality of Godhead. In this connection, there is a story in the Brahma Vaivarta Purana that in the city of Pratistanapura in South India, there was once a Brahmana who was not very well to do, but who was nevertheless satisfied in himself, thinking that it was because of his past misdeeds and by the desire of Krishna that he did not get sufficient money and opulence. So he was not at all sorry for his poor material position. And he used to live very peacefully. He was very open-hearted, and sometimes he went to hear some lectures delivered by great realized souls. At one such meeting, while he was very faithfully hearing about Vaishnava activities, he was informed that these activities can be performed even by meditation. In other words, if a person is unable to actually perform Vaishnava activities physically, he can meditate upon the Vaishnava activities and thereby acquire all of the same results. Because the Brahmana was not very well to do financially, he decided that he would simply meditate on grand royal devotional activities, and he began this business thus. Sometimes he would take his bath in the river Godavari. After taking his bath, he would sit in a secluded place on the bank of the river, and by practicing the yoga exercises of pranayama, the usual breathing exercises, he would concentrate his mind. These breathing exercises are meant to mechanically fix the mind upon a particular subject. That is the result of the breathing exercises and also of the different sitting breath postures of yoga. Formerly, even quite ordinary persons used to know how to fix the mind upon the remembrance of the Lord. And so the Brahmana was doing this. When he had fixed the form of the Lord in his mind, he began to imagine in his meditations that he was dressing the Lord very nicely in costly clothing, with ornaments, helmets, and other paraphernalia. Then he offered his respectful obeisances by bowing down before the Lord. After finishing the dressing, he began to imagine that he was cleaning the temple very nicely. After cleansing the temple, he imagined that he had so many water jugs made of gold and silver, and he took all those jugs to the river and filled them with the holy water. Not only did he collect water from the Godavari, but he collected from the Ganges, Yamuna, Narmada, and Kaveri. Generally, a Vaishnava, while worshipping the Lord, collects water from all these rivers by mantra chanting. This Brahmana, instead of chanting some mantra, imagined that he was physically securing water from all these rivers in golden and silver water pots. Then he collected all kinds of paraphernalia for worship: flowers, fruits, incense, and sandalwood pulp. He collected everything to place before the deity. All these waters, flowers, and scented articles were then very nicely offered to the deities to their satisfaction. Then he offered arati, and with the regulative principles, he finished all these activities in the correct worshiping method. He would daily execute similar performances as his routine work, and he continued to do so for many, many years. Then one day the Brahmana imagined in his meditations that he had prepared some sweet rice with milk and sugar and offered the preparation to the deity. However, he was not very satisfied with the offering because the sweet rice had been prepared recently and it was still very hot. This preparation sweet rice should not be taken hot. The cooler the sweet rice, the better its taste. So because the sweet rice had been prepared by the Brahmana very recently, he wanted to touch it so that he could know whether it was fit for eating by the Lord. As soon as he touched the sweet rice pot with his finger, he immediately was burnt by the heat of the pot. In this way, his meditation broke. Now, when he looked at his finger, he saw that it was burnt, and he was wondering in astonishment how this could have happened. Because he was simply meditating on touching the hot sweet rice, he never thought that his finger would actually become burnt. While he was thinking like this, in Vaikuntha, Lord Narayan, seated with the goddess of fortune Lakshmi, began to smile humorously. On seeing the smiling of the Lord, all the goddesses of fortune attending the Lord became very curious and asked Lord Narayan why he was smiling. The Lord, however, did not reply to their inquisitiveness, but instead immediately sent for the Brahmana. An airplane sent from Vaikuntha immediately brought the Brahmana into Lord Narayan's presence. When the Brahmana was thus present before the Lord, the goddess of fortune, the Lord explained the whole story. The Brahmana was then fortunate enough to get an eternal place in Vaikuntha in the association of the Lord and his Lakshmis. This shows how the Lord is all-pervading, in spite of his being locally situated in his abode. Although the Lord was present in Vaikuntha, he was present also in the heart of the Brahmana when he was meditating on the worshipping process. Thus, we can understand that things offered by the devotees, even in meditation, are accepted by the Lord, and they help one achieve the desired result. Aspects of transcendental service. In the opinion of the karmis, fruitive workers, offering the results of karma is called servitorship. But according to Vaishnava acharyas like Rupa Goswami, servitorship means constant engaging in some kind of service to the Lord. In the Skanda Purana, it is said that those who are attracted to performing ritualistic activities, according to the 4 orders of social life and the 4 orders of spiritual life, are considered devotees. But when devotees are actually engaged in offering service to the Lord, these must be Bhagavatas, or pure devotees. Those who are engaged in fruitive activities or prescribed duties according to the 4 orders of social and spiritual life are not actually pure devotees. But still, because they are offering the results to the Lord, they are accepted as devotees. When one has no such desire, but acts spontaneously out of love of God, such a person must be accepted as a pure devotee. The conditioned souls who have come into contact with the material world are all more or less desirous of lording it over material nature. The system of varnashrama and the prescribed duties under this system are so designed that the conditioned soul may enjoy in the material world according to his desire for sense gratification, and that at the same time gradually become elevated to spiritual understanding. Under these prescribed duties of Varna and ashram, there are many activities which belong to devotional service and Krishna consciousness. Those devotees who are householders accept Vedic ritualistic performances, as well as the prescribed duties of devotional service, because both are meant for satisfying Krishna. When household or devotees perform some Vedic ritualistic duties, they do so to satisfy Krishna. As we have previously discussed, any activity aiming to satisfy the Supreme Personality of Godhead is considered devotional service. Srila Rupa Goswami describes one who is fit for becoming engaged in devotional service. He says that persons who are neophytes and who have developed a little love of Godhead are not interested in the activities of sense gratification in proportion to their devotion. But if there is still some attraction for sense gratifying activities, then the results of such activities should be offered to Krishna. This is also called engagement in the service of the Lord. But the Lord is the master and the worker is the servant. In the Naradiya Purana, there is a statement of how this servitorship is transcendental. It is said there that a person who is constantly engaged in devotional service by his body, mind, words, or even a person who is not practically engaged but is simply desiring to be so, is considered to be liberated. Devotional service and friendship. Devotional service and friendship can be divided into two categories. The first is to act as a confidential servant of the Lord, and the other is to act as the well-wisher of the Lord. The devotee who has confidence in devotional service to the Lord systematically follows the rules and regulations, with the faith that he will achieve the platform of transcendental life. The second type of devotional friendship is to become a well-wisher of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. In Bhagavad Gita, it is said that the Lord accepts a preacher as the most dear servant. Anyone who is preaching the confidential message of the Gita to the people in general is so dear to Krishna that no one can be equal to him in human society. In the Mahabharata, Draupadi says, "My dear Govinda, your promise is that your devotee can never be vanquished. I believe in that statement, and therefore all kinds of tribulations I simply remember your promise, and thus I live." The purport is that Draupadi and her 5 husbands, the Pandavas, were put into severe tribulations by their cousin brother Duryodhana, as well as by many others. The tribulations were so severe that even Bhishma Dev, who was both a lifelong brahmacharya and a great warrior, would sometimes shed tears thinking of them. He was always surprised that although the Pandavas were so righteous and Draupadi was practically the goddess of fortune, and although Krishna was their friend, they still had to undergo such severe tribulations. Though their tribulations were not ordinary, Draupadi was not discouraged. She knew that because Krishna was their friend, ultimately they would be saved. A similar statement is there in the 11th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, second chapter, verse 53, where Haviz, the son of King Rishabha, addresses Maharaj Nimi. "My dear king, a person who never deviates even for a moment from engagement in service at the lotus feet of the Supreme Lord, engagement which is sought even by great demigods like Indra, with firm conviction that there is nothing more worshipable or desirable than this, is called the first-class devotee." Sri Rupa Goswami says that a neophyte devotee who has simply developed a slight love of Godhead is certainly a prospective candidate for devotional service. When he becomes firmly fixed in such devotional service, that assured status becomes a confidential part of his devotional service. Sometimes it is found that a pure devotee lies down in the temple of the Lord in order to serve him as a confidential friend. Such friendly behavior of a devotee may be accepted as raganuga or spontaneous. Although according to regulative principles, no one can lie down in the temple of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, this spontaneous love of Godhead may be grouped under devotional service and friendship. Surrendering everything to the Lord. Regarding complete self-surrender, there is a nice description in the 11th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, 29th chapter, verse 34, where the Lord says, "A person who has completely surrendered unto me and has completely given up all other activities is protected by me personally, both in this life and in the next. In other words, I wish to help him become more and more advanced in spiritual life. Such a person is to be understood as having already achieved sarshti, having equal opulences with the Supreme. It is also confirmed in Bhagavad Gita that as soon as a person surrenders unto the lotus feet of Krishna, Krishna takes charge of him and gives him a guarantee of protection from all sinful reactions. He also instructs from within, so that the devotee may very quickly make advancement towards spiritual perfection. This self-surrender is called Atma Nivedana. According to different authorities, the self is differently defined. Self is sometimes considered to refer to the spirit self or soul, and self is sometimes considered to refer to the mind or to the body. Full self-surrender, therefore, means not only surrendering oneself as spirit soul, but also surrendering one's mind and body to the service of the Lord. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakura has sung a nice song on this connection. While offering himself as a fully surrendered soul, he says, "My mind, my household affairs, my body, whatever is in my possession, my dear Lord, I offer to you for your service. Now you can do with them as you like. You are the supreme possessor of everything. So if you like, you can kill me. Or if you like, you can give me protection. All authority belongs to you. I have nothing to claim as my own." Sri Yamunacharya, in his prayers to the Lord, has expressed a similar idea in the following words. "My dear Lord, I may be living within some body as a human being or as a demigod, but whatever mode of life, I do not mind, because these bodies are simply byproducts of the three modes of material nature. And I, who am in possession of these bodies, am surrendering myself unto you." In the Hari Bhakti Vika, there is a statement regarding how one can offer his body in self-surrender. There the devotee says, "My dear Lord, as a souled animal has no need to think about his maintenance and sustenance. So, because I have given up my body and soul unto you, I am no longer concerned with my maintenance and sustenance." In other words, one should not bother about his personal or family maintenance or sustenance. If one is actually surrendered in body and soul, he should always remember that his only concern is to be engaged in the service of the Lord. Srila Rupa Goswami says that devotional service in friendship and devotional service in self-surrender are two difficult processes. Therefore, such relationships with the Lord can very rarely be seen. Only for the advanced devotees are these two processes easily executed. The purport is that it is very rare to see surrender which is mixed with sincere ecstatic devotion. One must give himself completely to the will of the Lord. Offering a favorite article. In the 11th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, 11th chapter, verse 41, Lord Krishna tells Uddhava, "My dear friend, if someone offers me the best thing in his possession, or anything which is very pleasing to him, he will be eternally benefited." Performing all endeavors for Krishna. In the Narada Pancharatra, there is a statement of how one can act in all spheres of life for the satisfaction of the Lord. It is stated there that a person who is actually in devotional service must be engaged in all kinds of activities, those prescribed in the revealed scriptures and also those who are accepted for livelihood. In other words, not only should a devotee engage himself in the prescribed duties of devotional service, which are mentioned in the revealed scriptures, but he should also perform the duties of his practical life in Krishna consciousness. For example, a devotee who has a great establishment or factory may offer the fruits of such material possession for the service of the Lord. Being a surrendered soul. In the Hari Bhakti Vilasa, there is the following statement about self-surrender. My dear Lord, a person who has surrendered himself unto you, who is in firm conviction that he is yours, and who actually acts in that way by his body, mind, and works, can actually relish transcendental bliss. In the Nrsimha Purana, Lord Nrsimhadev says, anyone who prays unto me and takes shelter of me becomes my ward, and I protect him always from all sorts of calamities. Serving trees such as the Tulasi. In the Skanda Purana, there is a statement praising the Tulasi tree as follows. Let me offer my respectful obeisances unto the Tulasi tree, which can immediately vanquish volumes of sinful activities. Simply by seeing or touching this tree, one can become relieved from all distresses and diseases. Simply by offering obeisances to and pouring water on the Tulasi tree, one can become freed from the fear of being sent to the court of Yamaraj, the king of death, who punishes the sinful. If someone sows a Tulasi tree somewhere, certainly he becomes devoted to Lord Krishna. And when the Tulasi leaves are offered in devotion at the lotus feet of Krishna, there is full development of love of Godhead. In India, all Hindus, even those not belonging to the Vaishnava group, take special care of the Tulasi tree. Even in great cities where it is very difficult to keep a Tulasi tree, people are to be found very carefully keeping this plant. They water it and offer obeisances to it, because worship of the Tulasi tree is very important in devotional service. In the Skanda Purana, there is another statement about Tulasi as follows. Tulasi is auspicious in all respects. Simply by seeing, simply by touching, simply by remembering, simply by praying to, simply by bowing before, simply by hearing about, or simply by sowing this tree, there is always auspiciousness. Anyone who comes back in touch with the Tulasi tree in the above mentioned ways lives eternally in the Vaikuntha world. 12. Further aspects of transcendental service. Hearing the revealed scriptures. According to Srila Rupa Goswami, any book which gives enlightenment in the matter of advancing in devotional service is considered to be revealed scripture. Srila Madhvacharya has also defined revealed scriptures as referring to books such as the Ramayana, Mahabharata, Puranas, Upanishads, Vedanta, and any other literature written in pursuance of such revealed scriptures. In the Skanda Purana, there is this statement. A person who is constantly engaged in reading literature, enunciating the cultivation of Vaishnava devotional literature, is always glorious in human society, and certainly Lord Krishna becomes pleased with him. A person who very carefully keeps such literature at home and offers respectful obeisances to it becomes freed of all sinful reactions and ultimately becomes worshipable by the demigods. It is also said to Narada Muni, my dear Narada, a person who writes Vaishnava literature and keeps such literature at home has Lord Narayan always residing in his house. In Srimad Bhagavatam, 12th canto, 13th chapter, verse 15, it is stated, Srimad Bhagavatam is the essence of all Vedanta philosophy. Any person who has become attached in some way or other to the reading of Srimad Bhagavatam cannot have any taste for reading any other literature. In other words, a person who has relished the transcendental bliss of Srimad Bhagavatam cannot be satisfied with mundane writings. Residing in Mathura. In the Varaha Purana, there is a statement praising the residential quarters of Mathura. Lord Varaha tells the men of the earth, any person who becomes attracted to places other than Mathura will certainly be captivated by the illusory energy. In the Brahmanda Purana, it is said that all the results of traveling on all the pilgrimage within the three worlds can be achieved simply by touching the holy land of Mathura. In many Shastras scriptures, it is said that simply by hearing, remembering, glorifying, desiring, seeing, or touching the land of Mathura, one can achieve all desires. Rendering service to devotees. In the Padma Purana, there is a nice statement about praising the service of the Vaishnavas, or devotees. In that scripture, Lord Shiva tells Parvati, "My dear Parvati, there are different methods of worship, and out of all such methods, the worship of the Supreme Person is considered to be the highest. But even higher than the worship of the Lord is the worship of the Lord's devotees." A similar statement is in the third canto, 7th chapter, verse 19 of Srimad Bhagavatam. "Let me become a sincere servant of the devotees, because by serving them one can achieve unalloyed devotional service unto the lotus feet of the Lord. The service of devotees diminishes all miserable material conditions and develops within one a deep devotional service for the Supreme Personality of Godhead." In the Skanda Purana, there is a similar statement. Persons whose bodies are marked with tilak, symbolizing the conch shell, wheel, club, and lotus, and who keep the leaves of tulasi on their heads, and whose bodies are always decorated with gopi chandana, even seen once, can help the seer be relieved of all sinful activities. A similar statement is found in the first canto, 19th chapter, verse 33 of Srimad Bhagavatam. There is no doubt about one's becoming freed from all reactions to sinful activities after visiting a devotee or touching his lotus feet or giving him a sitting place. Even by remembering the activities of such a Vaishnava, one becomes purified, along with one's whole family. And what then can be said of rendering service to him? In the Adi Purana, there is the following statement by Lord Krishna himself, addressed to Arjuna. "My dear Partha, one who claims to be my devotee is not so. Only a person who claims to be the devotee of my devotee is actually my devotee. No one can approach the Supreme Personality of Godhead directly. One must approach him through his pure devotees. Therefore, in the system of Vaishnava activities, the first duty is to accept a devotee as spiritual master, and then to render service unto him. Sri Rupa Goswami affirms that all the quotations given in the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu from different scriptures are accepted by the great acharyas and devotees of the Lord. Serving the Lord according to one's position. In the Padma Purana, there is a statement that one should perform the ceremonies for the Lord according to one's financial position. Everyone should observe the different ceremonies and celebrations of the Lord by all means. Performing devotional service in Kartika. One of the most important of these ceremonial functions is called Urja Vrata. Urja Vrata is observed in the month of Kartika, October to November. Especially in Vrindavan, there is a specific program for temple worship of the Lord in his Damodar form. Damodar refers to Krishna's being bound with rope by his mother, Yashoda. It is said that just as Lord Damodar is very dear to his devotees, so the month known as Damodar or Kartik is also very dear to them. The execution of devotional service during Urja Vrata in the month of Kartik is especially recommended to be performed at Mathura. This system is still followed by many devotees. They go to Mathura or Vrindavan and they stay there during the month of Kartik specifically to perform devotional services during this period. In the Padma Purana, it is said, the Lord may offer liberation or material happiness to a devotee, but after some devotional service has been executed, particularly in Mathura during the month of Kartika, the devotees want only to attain pure devotional service unto the Lord. The purport is that the Lord does not award devotional service to ordinary persons who are not serious about it. But even such unserious persons who execute devotional service according to the regulated principles during the month of Kartik and within the jurisdiction of Mathura in India are very easily awarded the Lord's personal service. Observing festivals celebrating the Lord's activities. In the Bhavishya Purana, there is a statement about observing different ceremonies celebrating the Lord's appearance, birthday, and other transcendental activities. It is said, my Lord Janardana Krishna, please let us know the date when your mother Devaki Devi gave birth to you. If you kindly inform us about this, then we shall observe a great celebration on this date. O killer of Keshi, we are souls 100% surrendered unto your lotus feet, and we wish only to please you with our ceremonies. This statement of the Bhavishya Purana gives evidence that by observing different functions in relationship with the Lord, one is sure to become pleasing to the Lord. Serving the deity with great devotion. It is said in the Adi Purana, a person who is constantly engaged in chanting the holy name and who feels transcendental pleasure, being engaged in devotional service, is certainly awarded the facilities of devotional service and is never given just mukti, liberation. Mukti means liberation from material contamination. When liberated, one does not have to take birth again in the material world. The impersonalists desire to merge into spiritual existence, to end their individual existence. But according to Srimad Bhagavatam, mukti is only the beginning of one's being situated in his normal condition. The normal condition of every living entity is to be engaged in the devotional service of the Lord. From the statement of the Adi Purana, it appears that a devotee is satisfied simply with being engaged in devotional service. He does not aspire for any liberation from material conditional life. In other words, anyone who is engaged in devotional service is not in the material condition of life, although he may appear so. Recitation of Srimad Bhagavatam among devotees. Srimad Bhagavatam is the desire tree of Vedic wisdom. Veda itself means the aggregate of knowledge, and whatever knowledge is required for human society is perfectly presented in Srimad Bhagavatam. There are different branches of knowledge in the Vedic writings, including sociology, politics, medicine, and military art. All these and other branches of knowledge are perfectly described in the Vedas. So, as far as spiritual knowledge is concerned, that is also perfectly described there. And Srimad Bhagavatam is considered to be the ripened fruit of this desire-fulfilling tree of the Vedas. A tree is honored by the production of its fruit. For example, a mango tree is considered very valuable because it produces the king of all fruits, the mango. When the mango fruit becomes ripened, it is the greatest gift of that tree. And Srimad Bhagavatam is similarly held to be the ripened fruit of the Vedic tree. And as the ripened fruit becomes more relishable when first touched by the beak of a parrot or shuka, Srimad Bhagavatam has become more relishable by being delivered through the transcendental mouth of Shukadev Goswami. Srimad Bhagavatam should be received in the cyclic succession without any breakage. When a ripened fruit comes from the upper part of the tree under the ground by the process of being handed down from a higher branch to a lower branch by persons in the tree, the fruit does not break. Srimad Bhagavatam, when received in the parampara system or disciplic succession, will likewise remain unbroken. It is stated in the Bhagavad Gita, that the disciplic succession, or parampara, is the way of receiving transcendental knowledge. Such knowledge must come down through the disciplic succession, through authorized persons who know the real purpose of the Shastra. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu recommended that one learn Srimad Bhagavatam from the mouth of the self-realized person called Bhagavata. Bhagavata means in relationship with the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Bhagavan. So the devotee is sometimes called Bhagavatam, and the book which is in relationship with devotional service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead is also called Bhagavatam. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu recommended that in order to relish the real taste of Srimad Bhagavatam, one should take instruction from the person Bhagavatam. Srimad Bhagavatam is relishable even by a liberated person. Shukadeva Goswami admitted that although he was liberated from within the very womb of his mother, it was only after relishing Srimad Bhagavatam that he became a great devotee. Thus, one who is desirous of advancing in Krishna consciousness should relish the purport of Srimad Bhagavatam through the discussion of authorized devotees. In Srimad Bhagavatam, 2nd canto, 1st chapter, verse 9, Shukadeva Goswami admits that although he was very much attracted by the impersonal Brahman, when he heard the transcendental pastimes of the Supreme Personality of Godhead from the mouth of his father, Vyasadeva, he became more attracted to Srimad Bhagavatam. The idea is that Vyasadeva was also a self-realized soul, and his mature contribution of transcendental knowledge was delivered directly to Shukadeva Goswami in the manner indicated, associating with advanced devotees. In Srimad Bhagavatam, 1st canto, 18th chapter, verse 13, the importance of discussing Srimad Bhagavatam in the society of pure devotees was explained by Shaunaka Muni during the meeting at Naimi Saranya in the presence of Sutta Goswami. Sutta Goswami confirmed that if someone is fortunate enough to associate with a pure devotee of the Lord even for a moment, that particular moment is so valuable that even those pious activities which can promote one to the heavenly planets or give liberation from material miseries cannot compare to it. In other words, those who are attracted to Srimad Bhagavatam do not care for any kind of benefit derived from elevation to the higher planetary kingdoms, or for the liberation which is conceived of by the impersonalists. As such, the association of pure devotees is so transcendently valuable that no kind of material happiness can compare to it. In the Hari Bhakti Sudodaya, there is a conversation between Prahlad Maharaj and his father, Hiranyakashipu, in which Hiranyakashipu addresses Prahlad in this way: "My dear son, association is very important. It acts just like a crystal stone, which will reflect a flower or anything else which is put before it. Similarly, if we associate with the flower-like devotees of the Lord, and if our hearts are crystal clear, then certainly the same action will be there." Another example is given in this connection, that if a man is potent and if a woman is not diseased, then by their conjugation there will be conception. In the same way, if a recipient of spiritual knowledge and the deliverer of spiritual knowledge are sincere and bona fide, there will be good results. Chanting the holy name of the Lord. The importance of chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare is very strongly stressed in the 2nd canto, 1st chapter, verse 11, of Srimad Bhagavatam, in the following way. Shukadeva Goswami tells Maharaj Parikshit, "My dear king, if one is spontaneously attached to the chanting of the Hare Krishna mantra, it is to be understood that he has attained the highest perfectional stage. It is specifically mentioned that the karmis or aspiring after the fruitive results of their activities, the salvationists who are aspiring to become one with the Supreme, and the yogis who are aspiring after mystic perfections can achieve the results of all perfectional stages simply by chanting the Maha Mantra. Shukadev uses the word nirnitam, which means it has already been decided. He was a liberated soul and therefore could not accept anything which was not conclusive. So Shukadev Goswami especially stresses that it has already been concluded that one who has come to the stage of chanting the Hare Krishna mantra with determination and steadiness must be considered to have already passed the trials of fruitive activities, mental speculation, and mystic yoga. The same thing is confirmed in the Adi Purana by Krishna. While addressing Arjuna, he says, anyone who is engaged in chanting my transcendental name must be considered to be always associating with me. And I may tell you frankly that for such a devotee, I become easily purchased. In the Padma Purana, also it is stated, the chanting of the Hare Krishna mantra is present only on the lips of a person who has for many births worshipped Yasudev. It is further said in the Padma Purana, there is no difference between the holy name of the Lord and the Lord himself. As such, the holy name is as perfect as the Lord himself, fullness, purity, and eternity. The holy name is not a material sound vibration, nor has it any material contamination. The holy name cannot therefore be chanted offenselessly by one who has failed to purify his senses. In other words, materialistic senses cannot properly chant the holy names of the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. But by adopting this chanting process, one is given a chance to actually purify himself, so that he may very soon chant offenselessly. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has recommended that everyone chant the Hare Krishna mantra just to cleanse the dust from the heart. If the dust of the heart is cleansed away, then one can actually understand the importance of the holy name. For persons who are not inclined to clean the dust from their hearts, and who want to keep things as they are, it is not possible to derive the transcendental result of chanting the Hare Krishna mantra. One should therefore be encouraged to develop his service attitude toward the Lord, because this will help him to chant without any offense. And so, under the guidance of a spiritual master, the disciple is trained to render service and at that time chant the Hare Krishna mantra. As soon as one develops a spontaneous service attitude, he can immediately understand the transcendental nature of the holy names of the Maha Mantra. Living in Mathura. In the Padma Purana, there is a statement about the importance of living at holy places like Mathura or Dwarka. It is stated there, to travel to different places of pilgrimage means to attain emancipation from material bondage. This emancipation, however, is not the highest perfectional stage. After attaining the liberated stage, one has to become engaged in devotional service to the Lord. After attainment of the Brahmabhuta liberation stage, one can further advance to engagement in devotional service. So this attainment of transcendental loving devotional service to the Lord is the goal of life, and it can be achieved very easily for one who lives in Mathura Mandala, even for a few seconds. It is further said, who is that person who will not agree to worship the land of Mathura? Mathura can deliver all the desires and ambitions of the fruit of workers and of the salvationists, who desire to become one with the Supreme Brahman. Certainly Mathura will deliver the desires of the devotees, who simply aspire to be engaged in the devotional service of the Lord. In the Vedic literature, it is also stated how wonderful it is that simply by residing in Mathura even for one day, one can achieve a transcendental loving attitude toward the Supreme Personality of Godhead. This land of Mathura must be more glorious than Vaikuntha Dhamma, the kingdom of God. 13. 5 potent forms of devotional service.
I have one person now, but I was calling to see if there's anyone before then.
Brahma Hari Devagane Arati Korna Brahma Hari Devagane Narari Ari Kori Chamararulaya Narari Ari Kori Chamararulaya Sanjaya Mukunda Bashu Gosarigaya Bashu Gosarigaya Sanka Bajiganta Baji Baji Karatala Sanka Bajiganta Baji Baji Karatala Madhuran Mandanga Baji Paramarasala Madhuran Mandanga Baji Paramarasala Bahu Kotri Chandra Jini Varanajvala Bahu Kotri Chandra Jini Varanajvala Gala Deshe Banamala Koridamala Gala Deshe Banamala Koridamala Shiva Sukhanarara Preme Gara Gara Shiva Sukhanarara Preme Gara Gara Bhakti Vinoda Deke Gora Sampara Bhakti Vinoda Deke Gora Sampara Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Pasaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Ite Namane Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pacharane Nivishesha Sunyavari Vasachasya Satarane Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaur Bhaktavinda. Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaur Bhaktavinda. Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaur Bhaktavinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Vishnupada Paramapsa Paracharya Sasastra Sri Srimad A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki Jai. Jaya Vishnupada Paramapsa Paracharya Sasastra Sri Srimad Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj Prabhupada Ki Jai. Natikoti Vaishnavinda Ki Jai. Namacharya Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Pramse Kaho Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadhar Sri Vastigora Bhaktivinda Ki Jai. Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinath Samakun Radhakun Govardhan Ki Jai. Verdama Dhamma Ki Jai. Mathura Dhamma Ki Jai. Navdvipa Dhamma Ki Jai. Jagannath Puri Dhamma Ki Jai. Bhakti Devi Ki Jai. Tulsi Devi Ki Jai. Yangamaya Ki Jai. Gangamaya Ki Jai. Samveta Bhaktivinda Ki Jai. All glories assembled devotees. All glories assembled devotees. All glories assembled devotees. All glories to Shri Guru and Gauranga.
Namaste Narasimhaya. Prahlada Dada Daine. Hiranyakashipur Vaksha. Shila Tankana Kalaye. Ito Nishimho Parato Nishimho. Yato Yato Yamitato Nishimha. Bahir Nishimho Hridaye Nishimho. Narasim Hamarim Saranam Prapadye. Savakara Kamaravare Nakam Adbhuta Shingam Dalita Hiranyakashipu Tanubringam Keshavadita Narahari Rupa Jai Jagadisha Hare Jai Jagadisha Hare Jai Jagadisha Hare. Savakara Kamaravare Nakam Adbhuta Shingam Dalita Hiranyakashipu Tanubringam Keshavadita Narahari Rupa Jai Jagadisha Hare Jai Jagadisha Hare Jai Jagadisha Hare. Keshavadita Narahari Rupa Jai Jagadisha Hare Jai Jagadisha Hare Jai Jagadisha Hare. Lord Nishimadev Ki Jai, Prahlad Maharaj Ki Jai.
Hey, we'll start with introduction prayer on page 1. Om Jana Dharmandasya Jana Jana Shalakya Chakshuramalita Mena Tasme Shukarave Namaha Sri Chaitanya Mano Bishtam Sapita Mena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kara Mayam Dati Swa Bandikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Pada Kamalam Shri Gurudan Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupa Sagrajaitam Sahagana Raghunath Katanavitam Tasajevam Savetam Sadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Pada Saha Gana Lalita Shri Vishkana Vitamscha Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dino Bandho Jagatpate Gopisha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namosute Tapa Kanchana Gorangi Radhe Vindavasvare Rishbanu Sute Deve Pranamame Hare Priye Pancha Kalpatara Bayascha Kripa Sindhu Bayas Evacha Patitanam Pavanabayo Vaishnabayo Namo Namaha Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadhar Shri Vasti Gaur Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. See now, where'd we leave off at? Chapter 7, right? Chapter 7, text 11. Chapter 7, knowledge of the Absolute. Text 11. Balam balavatam chaham kama raga vivarjitam dharma virudo uteshu kamosme bharata sabha. Translation. I am the strength of the strong, devoid of passion and desire. I am sex life, which is not contrary to religious principles, O Lord of the Bharatas, Arjuna. Text 12. Echaiva savitka bhava rajasa tamasha chaye mata evite tan vidhi natva aham teshu te maye. Translation. All states of being, be they of goodness, passion, or ignorance, are manifested by my energy. I am, in one sense, everything, but I am independent. I am not under the modes of this material nature. Excuse me. Text 13. Tribir gunamayer bhayavayer ibhi sarvam idam jagat Mohitam nabhijat nate mam ibaya param avyanyam. Translation. Deluded by the three modes, goodness, passion, and ignorance, the whole world does not know me, who am above the modes and inexhaustible. Text 14. Davyehe esha gunamai mama maya durataya mameva ye prapatayante mayamitam daranti te. Translation. This divine energy of mine, consisting of the three modes of material nature, is difficult to overcome, but those who have surrendered unto me can easily cross beyond it. Text 15. Namam Drishtino Muda Prapadayanti Nara Dahama Maya Mayaya Parita Gyana Ashuram Bhavam Ashrita. Translation. Those miscreants who are grossly foolish, lowest among mankind, whose knowledge is stolen by illusion, and who partake of the atheistic nature of demons, do not surrender unto me. Text 16. Chaturvida bhajanti mam jnana sukritino arjuna arto jignashu atarati gyane cha bhartar sarva. Translation. O best of the Bhartas, Arjuna, 4 kinds of pious men render devotional service unto me: the distressed, the desire of wealth, the inquisitive, and he who is searching for knowledge of the Absolute. Text 17. Tesmam gani nitya yukta ika bhaktir vishishyate prayohi gyanino prayatam aham sacha mama praya. Translation. Of these, the wise one who is full knowledge in union with me through pure devotional service is the best, for I am very dear to him, and he is dear to me. Text 18. Udara sarva ivate gyane ta atmaiva me matam ashita sahi yuktatma mam Evanutamam Gatim. Translation. All these devotees are undoubtedly magnanimous souls, but he who is situated in knowledge of me, I consider verily to dwell in me. Being engaged in my transcendental service, he attains me. Text 19. Bahunam jamanam ante yanavan mam prapadyate vasudeva sarvam iti sa mahatma sudurlava. After many births and deaths, he who is actually in knowledge surrenders unto me, knowing me to be the cause of all causes, and all that is, such a great soul is very rare. Text 11. Kamayastais hitra yana prapadyante naya devyata tam nayamam ashatya prakritya nayata swaya. Translation. Those whose minds are distorted by material desires surrender unto demigods and follow the particular rules and regulations of worship according to their own nature. Text 21, our final text. Yo yam yam tanum bhakta shradhaya hayar chitu ichayati tasya chalam shradam tameva vidat hame aham. Translation. I am in everyone's heart as the super soul. As soon as one desires to worship the demigods, I make his faith steady so he can devote himself to some particular deity. Turning to text 11. Text 11. I am the strength of the strong, devoid of passion, desire. I am sex life, which is not contrary to religious principles. O Lord of the Bharatas, Arjuna. Report by Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Strong man's strength should be applied to protect the weak, not for personal aggression. Similarly, sex life, according to religious principles, dharma, should be for propagation of children, not otherwise. Responsibility of parents is then to make their offspring Krishna consciousness. In today's world, we find that, especially through the media, television, movies, books, magazines, they're always pushing sex life, making it seem like it's something more than just for children, for propagating children in the world. It's in this age of Kali, it's been so degraded that it was very hard to escape. Very hard to escape, and seeing it in the movies, seeing it on television. It's all around us. They use even the sex appeal for advertising. How many commercials have we seen of, let's say, a hamburger joint, McDonald's or Burger King or one of those fast food joints, advertising one of their new big juicy hamburgers and have this very gorgeous woman take a bite out of it. How many times we've seen that? It's in today's world, they use the sex appeal, like I said, in not only advertising, but in the storylines of the movies, of TV shows. They've made it so degraded that it's no longer about propagating children. They've made it, tried to do with such an easy access for the sex life to, produce no consequences, of the offspring, from having, controlled sex through, protection like condoms, birth control. It's interesting because now most countries are facing a birth rate crisis, because of this. Europe is facing a birth rate crisis to where they're not producing enough children to keep up with the current population. So what a lot of countries are doing, they're using mass immigration to replace the numbers. That's been going on over in Europe for a while now. And they seem to be doing that here in the United States, trying to use mass immigration to replace their low birth rate numbers. But that's what happens when the family unit is destroyed. That's what happens when sex life is no longer about propagating children, raising a family. It begins to destroy society from the inside out. That's text 12. Translation. All states of being, be they of goodness, passion, or ignorance, are manifested by my energy. I am in one sense everything, but I am independent. I am not under the modes of this material nature. All material activities in the world are being conducted under the three modes of material nature. Although these three material modes of nature are emanations of the Supreme Lord Krishna, he is not subject to them. For instance, under the state laws, one may be punished, but the king, the lawmaker, is not subject to that law. Excuse me. Similarly, all the modes of material nature, goodness, passion, ignorance, are emanations of the Supreme Lord Krishna. But Krishna is not subject to material nature. Therefore, he is nirguna, which means that these gunas or modes, although issuing from him, do not affect him. That is one of the special characteristics of Bhagavan, or the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Text 13. Deluded by the three modes, goodness, passion, and ignorance, the whole world does not know me, who am above the modes and inexhaustible. Purport. The whole world is enchanted by three modes of material nature. Those who are bewildered by these modes cannot understand the transcendental to this material nature is the Supreme Lord. In this material world, everyone is under the influence of these three gunas and is thus bewildered. By nature, living entities have particular types of body and particular types of psychic and biological activities accordingly. There are four classes of men functioning in the three material modes of nature. Those who are purely in the mode of goodness are called brahmanas. Those who are purely in the mode of passion are called satriyas, and those who are in the modes of both passion and ignorance are called vaishyas. Those who are completely ignorant are called sudras, and those who are less than that are animals or animal life. However, these designations are not permanent. I may either be Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, or whatever. In any case, this life is temporary. But although life is temporary, we do not know what we are going to be in the next life. Still, by the spell of this illusionary energy, we consider ourselves in light of this bodily conception. Of life, and we think that we are American, Indian, Russian, or Brahmana, Hindu, Muslim, etc. And if we become entangled with the modes of material nature, then we forget the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is behind all these modes. So Lord Krishna says that men, deluded by the three modes of nature, do not understand that behind the material background is the Supreme Godhead. There are many different kinds of living entities, human beings, demigods, animals, etc. And each and every one of them is under the influence of material nature. And all of them have forgotten the transcendent personality of Godhead. Those who are in the modes of passion and ignorance, and even those who are in the mode of goodness, cannot go beyond the impersonal Brahma conception of the absolute truth. They are bewildered before the Supreme Lord and his personal feature, which possess all beauty, opulence, knowledge, strength, fame, and renunciation. When even those who are in goodness cannot understand what hope is, therefore those in passion and ignorance. And even those who are in goodness cannot understand what hope is there for those in passion and ignorance. Krishna consciousness is transcendental to all three modes of material nature. And those who are truly established in Krishna consciousness are actually liberated. So the three modes of material nature, goodness, passion, and ignorance. That just all being subjected to any one of these just further binds us into this material world. Without bhakti yoga, without surrendering unto Krishna, we can't even live in the mode of goodness without being bound to this world. Mode of goodness just further binds us without bhakti yoga. We might get a better looking cell in this next lifetime, you know. We might have gold bars on our windowsill, you know, and gold-plated toilet, but we're still in the same prison. Just nicer surroundings sometimes. And other times, if we're caught up in the mode of ignorance and mode of passion, we'd be in very much worse conditions. Move on to text 14. Yes, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. Uh, Please forgive me in advance for my own ignorance. Um, I know that the laws of karma are beyond our understanding, but just for my own like preaching to someone who is unable to fully surrender to Krishna, I want to try to understand as best I can. Um, so it says like in this purport, it says that we don't know what the next life will be that we take, and I've heard a lot that the all four um, of the Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, and Sudra, they're all necessary in a functioning society. We need them all. Um, and in Vedic paradigm, it says that those in the mode of ignorance they descend to lower planets, and those in the mode of goodness, while still in the material world, go to higher planets. So here, if it says that the Sudras are completely in the mode of ignorance, does that mean all Sudras always go to lower planets?
Yes, for it's if you're in the mode of ignorance, you'd be going to the lower planets unless you have a little bit of taint of bhakti yoga. If you even a little bit of devotional service can possibly save you from the lower planets. But see, when it comes to karma, karma is basically the result of action. It's the result of what we've done in the past, and has given us our present situation, our present duty. When Krishna, as Krishna says, you have the right to perform your duty, but you don't have the right for the results belong to Krishna. And that's just because that we are paying the penalty, we are paying the price of our past actions, our past karma. It's everything that's accumulated into the present action and future actions. So your past karma, if you were in the mode of goodness, you did all sorts of great things, did pious activities, you end up, in the higher planets. And that's only temporary. Eventually you have to come back down. The earth is kind of like that middle ground here. You know, if you in the mode of ignorance and mode of passion, you end up, falling down to the lower planets. Eventually you find your way back up to Earth again. It's everything has a tendency to work in a circle, especially if you go through as you become more familiar with the stream of Bhavatam, you see a lot of things work in circles in the stream of Bhavatam. Like a lot of curses end up becoming blessings, because, the curse just kind of transformed the person and they ended up, accepting the curse and surrendering. And that curse ends up becoming a blessing. And many times some of these blessings end up becoming curses because you've taken advantage of a blessing and become puffed up and whatnot. And you see some of these great personalities falling from blessing. So you see these circles going on quite a bit in the stream of Bhavatam. I mean, just from how the stream of Bhavatam was brought about, as the king, was cursed to die. He had 7 days to live. But in that curse, he managed to hear the entire stream of Bhavatam. So that was a blessing in disguise. So karma works in circles, it's almost like we're playing parts, we're actors in this world and we're playing out the parts, for Krishna's pleasure. It's main reason we're here is because we wanted to be our own gods. We wanted to be the one in control. We think we're in control here, but We're really not in control. Krishna's in control. He's just letting us think that we're in control here. Just Prabhu.
So, thank you, Prabhu, for your answer about that. Um, yeah, there's a lot of devotees that they discuss how, in this Kali Yuga, basically everybody. I mean, if you look at Prabhupada's Jaladuta prayers that he says when he was in Boston Harbor, he wrote a poem called Markine Bhagavat Dharma, and it describes how pretty much this whole population is in the modes of passion and ignorance, which means they're gonna go to hell. That's what's happening. So, unless they get this touch of bhakti, that's it. They have, that's part of it. They have to go there.
Thank you for your answers. I guess my natural follow-up question is, so, we're in the age of Kali, so we're pretty much all Shudras in a way. Or, I mean, we're all in the modes of passion and ignorance. We're over here doing bhakti. But there's still this does that mean people born in the Brahmana caste today, they're still Sudras? Or how does that work?
You say the ones who are born in the Brahmana caste today? Well, it all depends. Are they surrendered to Krishna? Are they practicing bhakti? That's a biggest difference. This is what Lord Chaitanya recommended for this age. The chanting of the holy names, the bhakti yoga. This is the only thing that can really save us. In this age of Kali, we're not we don't have these long lives to get yoga system perfect. We don't have 50,000 years to meditate and get our yoga perfect. We got less than generally less than 100 years to live. 100 years if you're lucky. If you want to call it luck to live that long these days. But I just lost my train of thought.
Can I say something?
Does Maharaj have something to say here?
Yeah, thank you. Tell me the verse. Tell me Jayate Shudra. You may have to repeat this. You may not know it. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Jamane Jayate Shudra means everyone's born this age as a Shudra because no one's following the different sanskaras properly. So, formerly, when the people did follow the sanskaras, religious practices, and when they were born in a Brahmin family, it was more or less rest assured they were going to have all the qualities of a Brahmin because they had gone through so much training already. But in this age, the parents are not performing the sanskaras, so the children that are born are varna sankara. They are coming from homes that are not cultured. So yes, no one can claim to be Brahmin by birth in this age, unless they can show so many generations of family members before they came who all performed the Garbhadang Sanskaras and the other Sanskaras, which is not possible. So, yes, one can become a Brahmana through those channels of karma, but one can become, as we said, or we heard, better than a Brahmana by practicing devotional service. Because Bhakti Yoga is so powerful, it takes one, even if he's born in a family of chandalas, dog eaters, it doesn't matter. Devotional service is so pure, it's so powerful, and Krishna is so pleased by it. He doesn't care about the birth. Krishna, of course, never really cares about the birth, but there is a system so that those who want to try to do it on their own through the means of working and trying to earn their way up, they can try. But Bhakti Yoga is so simple. And in this age, it's especially easy because the people are so fallen that they wouldn't have any chance unless it was made very easy. So in this age, it's simply by chanting Hare Krishna mantra, one can surpass all the limitations of being a Shudra or a Chandala. As we can see in this movement, it's kind of amazing because in the beginning, Srila Prabhupada was in India, where the people have Vedic culture for thousands of years, but they were more interested in getting what the Westerners had, progress on the material side. So they weren't interested in Krishna consciousness very much. But when Prabhupada went to America, which is the home of a lot of materialistic activities, they were tired of that, and so they were curious to find out what Prabhupada was bringing. It was against what they had been taught, but they took it. And by taking it, they surpassed all the other stations of life very easily. And if they don't become proud or puffed up and carried away again by former association, then their position is very strong. They can go back to Godhead. And many of them were, as we know, not following the Vedic principles. So that's a good point that was made tonight, is if you become Krishna conscious, even little, neha bikramanashosti pratyavayana vijite svalpamapyasya dharmasya trayate mahatobaya. A little advancement on this path will protect one from the lowest stage or slipping down into the animal species. Thank you.
That help answer your question? Where was I here? Text 14. This divine energy of mind, consisting of the three modes of material nature, is difficult to overcome, but those who have surrendered unto me can easily cross beyond it. The Supreme Personality Godhead is innumerable energies, and all these energies are divine. Although the living entities are a part of his energies and are therefore divine, due to contact with material energy, their original superior power is covered. But thus covered by material energy, one cannot possibly overcome its influence. As previously stated, both material and spiritual natures, being emanations of the Supreme Personality Godhead, are eternal. The living entities belong to the eternal superior nature of the Lord. But due to contamination by the inferior nature, matter, their illusion is also eternal. The conditioned soul is therefore called Nitya Bada, or eternally conditioned. No one can trace out the history of this becoming conditioned at a certain date in material history. Consequently, his release from the clutches of material nature is very difficult. Even though that material nature is an inferior energy, because material energy is ultimately conducted by the supreme will, which the living entity cannot overcome. Inferior material nature is defined herein as divine nature, due to its divine connection and movement by the divine will. Being conducted by divine will, material nature, although inferior, acts so wonderfully in the construction and destruction of the cosmic manifestation. The Vedas confirms this as follows: Mayam tu prakritam vidyam mayanyam tu maheshvaram. Although Maya, illusion, is false or temporary, the background of Maya is the supreme magician. The personality of Godhead, who is Maheshvara, the supreme controller. Another meaning of guna is rope. It is to be understood that the conditioned soul is tightly tied by the ropes of illusion. A man bound by the hands and feet cannot free himself. He must be helped by a person who is unbound, because the bound cannot help the bound. The rescuer must be liberated. Therefore, only Lord Krishna or his bona fide representative, the spiritual master, can release the conditioned soul. Without such superior help, one cannot be freed from the bondage of material nature. Devotional service or Krishna consciousness can help one gain such release. Krishna, being the Lord of illusionary energy, can order this insurmountable energy to release the conditioned soul. He orders this release out of his causeless mercy on the surrendered soul and out of his paternal affection for the living entity who is originally a beloved son of the Lord. Therefore, surrender unto the lotus feet of the Lord is the only means to get free from the clutches of the stringent material nature. The words Mam, Eva are also significant. Mam means unto Krishna, Vishnu, only, and not Brahma or Shiva. Although Brahma and Shiva are greatly elevated and almost on the level of Vishnu, it is not possible for such incarnations of Rajoguna, passion, and Tamo guna, ignorance, to release the conditioned soul from the clutches of Maya. In other words, both Brahma and Shiva are also under the influence of Maya. Only Vishnu is the master of Maya. Therefore, he can give release to the conditioned soul. The Vedas confirm this in the phrase Tvameva Vidya, or freedom is possible only by understanding Krishna. Even Lord Shiva affirms that liberation can be achieved only by the mercy of Vishnu. Lord Shiva says, Mukti Pradata Sarvesham Vishnu Ivana Samsaya. There is no doubt that Vishnu is the deliverer of liberation for everyone. Yeah, we're bound by this illusionary energy. It's our senses, kind of like our invisible bars, keeping us here. You know, by trying to enjoy our material senses, this is what's keeping us bound here. These invisible bars, and whenever we try to enjoy, our material senses, that's just further entangling us into this cycle of samsara, this life, birth, death, and rebirth. It's only through Krishna consciousness, through association with a pure devotee, association with a spiritual master, that we can free ourselves from this. Because we're trying to transform our senses to where we're not trying to enjoy our own senses, but trying to give Krishna enjoyment. Through the association of smelling a flower that's been offered to Krishna, tasting prasadam that's been offered to Krishna, hearing music that's being offered to Krishna, all these things. This is powerful association that helps us gets us back home to Godhead. Power of association is extremely powerful. Much like iron rod being put into the fire. when it's exposed to the fire long enough, it becomes red hot and takes on the qualities of fire. You take that iron rod, now it's red hot. Stick it to paper. It has the qualities of the fire. It catches the paper on fire, catches wood on fire, catches flammable things on fire. Much like devotional service, the association of a pure devotee, association of other devotees, the association with deities, the association with the kirtan, association with the Maha Mantra, all these things are lighting the fire of devotion within us. And their ultimate goal is to have just only these kinds of associations, that we're associating with. It's a little more difficult out in the material world, sometimes, especially when you're out in book distribution, you have to keep Krishna in mind at all times while you're out there. Because it's so easy to get caught up in the little things that aren't associated with Krishna. But yes, only through transforming our desires to where we're not wanting to find pleasure in our material desires, but try to give Krishna pleasure. Everything that we're doing, we're trying to give Krishna pleasure. And Krishna it's the more that we give ourselves to Krishna, the more Krishna is giving himself to us. Any questions on that? Times 5 minutes. Well, that's a long report. That is a very long report. We'll read a little bit into this next verse. Text 15. Those miscreants who are grossly foolish, lowest among mankind, whose knowledge is stolen by illusion, and who partake in the atheistic nature of demons, do not surrender unto me. Can we think of any examples? What was that? People try to become the controllers? Yeah. Report. It is said in the Bhagavad Gita that simply by surrendering oneself unto this lowest feet of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, one can surmount the stringent laws of material nature. At this point, a question arises: how is it that educated philosophers, scientists, businessmen, administrators, and all the leaders of ordinary men do not surrender to the lowest feet of Sri Krishna, the all-powerful personality of Godhead? Mukti, or liberation from the laws of material nature, is sought by the leaders of mankind in different ways and with great plans and perseverance for a great many years. For a great many years and births. But if that liberation is possible by simply surrendering unto the lowest feet of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, then why don't these intelligent and hardworking leaders adopt this simple method? Because they're wanting to enjoy the material world as well. Any last minute questions or comments?
I like this. I like when Prabhupada presents these types of challenges, and sometimes we would, if you listen to his conversations and his room talks and things like that, he would say stuff like this to people to their face. Like there was one so-called Hindu studies professor, and he came in kind of making a show and said, okay, well, he asked Prabhupada, what is Hinduism? And Prabhupada said, you, you're a professor of Hinduism and you do not know? That means you're a cheater. And, he would just call people out. And this, it's a very amazing technique to wake us up from our ignorance. And if we let Prabhupada's pushing us and challenging all of our reservations in devotional service, if we allow ourselves to be soft in front of him, then we can make a lot of advancement too, because we may also be sharing some of these, we may be holding back in some way. And when Prabhupada speaks so strongly against rascals, then little rascal in me also gets exposed.
Thank you, Prabhu. Bhagavad Gita ki jai.